I'm rolling.
Part 2, the redo.
Yeah, y'all can start whenever. I'm rolling.
Alright.
I didn't I was looking for this place and I was like, God, it's hard to recognize where anything is in Austin anymore with so much shit being built all the time everywhere.
Alright, ready?
Yeah.
Alright, what's up? Welcome. Yeah, shit. We're starting right now. Alright, welcome to episode 75 of Convos on the Pedicab. Robert Dean is back.
Yeah, this time I don't have any scheduling conflicts. So we can talk all the shit we want.
Oh man, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, listen, when we talked the first time, there was a bit of a lull in terms of current events.
Yeah. We got plenty to talk about now.
Oh, we have a lot to talk about. Where do we start?
It's up to you. You're the host, man.
I am the host. Recall.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I knew it was never going to happen.
You think so?
No, it was never going to happen. You're not going to get California to vote Republican. As much as people wanted to put Larry Elder up on the pedestal of the black guy who wants to give white slave owners reparations, ain't gonna.
Hold on a second. When did he say that? Because I heard about that.
That was in 2019. There's an interview with him.
What was the context behind that? Because I heard something about that.
He was talking about if somebody was going to lose the people that was their workforce, the people of a free market system should be allowed to recoup losing their workforce.
I mean, it's not a good way to get the black vote.
No. If you're going to...
But, if it wasn't for, slavery, that is kind of...
Yeah,
if your workforce weren't forcefully made to come here without any pay, then,
Trying to split hairs on slavery is a fucked up...
I'm not splitting hairs on slavery. I'm just saying that, it's a really bad take to say that about slave owners.
That and is every single else. I mean, Larry Elder's just not the guy. If you want to have a somewhat that's a very radical. That's a really
point.
radical candidate that would have never swung any kind of vote in a very, very liberal state.
Okay, that's true. But here's the thing too. Everyone was calling Elder a fascist, and he was going to ruin the state. He's going to do all this horrible stuff and set it way back.
Well, yeah, he's a free market economist.
Right, but there's also a super Democrat majority in that legislature, so what could Elder really do?
It's the idea, dude, it's always the placeholder of these things that when we set somebody as the masthead, that becomes the mandate. It's the same thing when we had Trump. He had a bunch of different things in place where people would battle him, especially with the House of Representatives, and now you have your own party fighting against Biden. So it's when you set somebody as the masthead, think about here in Austin.
It's not my own party. I'm not
well, not you, but I'm saying in the pejorative sense.
Okay.
When you have somebody in play, even here in Austin, you have Adler, who people either like or dislike.
I don't know anybody who likes Adler at this point.
And then you take that guy, and then you have a city council that's combative against him. And so it's still the masthead of the person that's going to be in charge that sets the tone, and that's what people react to, even if they like him or they dislike him.
Sure, but you don't think it's dishonest when they call people these big, bold names when they know full well that a person like Elder, because of how the government is set up in California, would be the least fascist person that you could ever have because he would have no ability to actually do anything?
Dude, all politicians are full of shit at this point.
Yeah.
My positions on everything is extremely progressive, but I also realize that politicians are full of shit. I mean, I used to have this feigning hope of people are really into it to I still trust Bernie Sanders. I still stand by Bernie. But
do you stand by AOC?
Fuck no. Fuck no.
What do you think about that dress?
Dude, the squad themselves are look, and I had a shirt from Rashida, that the one that said impeach the motherfucker. I had that shirt. My problem with them is they were really squawky and vocal about how much they hated Trump and they wanted to set the tone to fuck this dude, and I was with it. I was totally fucking there. The minute Biden gets in office, they became quiet as hell. They had no recourse to what his actions were. They're like, oh, we're just pushing agenda. You don't push an agenda for leftist politics by going to something that costs $30,000 to be there, and then you get people talking about your dress. It's fucking ridiculous. You're hanging out with the elite that you supposedly don't want to be around, that you're this working class politician. It's like, no, dude, you're still on the take. You don't want to lose your job.
Well,
performative
bullshit.
bullshit.
I saw a Twitter post that basically said, when you want to go hang out and party with rich people and, ball out, but you still want to have your socialist street cred. It's literally what she was. That's literally what
That's
happened.
literally it, man. And like, my thing is, I don't think in American history we've ever been able to understand with such clarity that politicians are full of shit, but also, like, I'm hoping that people are waking up to realize that the two-party system is ridiculous, because there's like 7 points of view that's crammed into 2 ideologies. And then on top of that is, if you ever needed fucking proof of like getting played, look at the Afghan war. Who benefited from that? No one but industrial military complex.
And China's about to benefit like a motherfucker, and the Taliban, because they're about to get all the rare earth minerals.
Yeah, because we fucked that whole thing up, but we did it.
But it's almost like we did it deliberately.
I don't think we did it deliberately. I don't think we did it deliberately at all. I just think that it
feels like you cannot be this inept unless you're doing it deliberately.
I think that they literally were that inept, because you went through 4 fucking presidents, man.
Yeah. And
all
people
right.
and this war was literally, I mean, look, I'm no vet, right? But I feel, based on what I've looked into and researched, that this war could have been won if they wanted to win it, but
they didn't.
They didn't want to win because they benefit more from keeping us there than they do from actually wiping these people out.
Absolutely, that's what I said. The only people who won are Boeing, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin,
Pfizer, the heroin, like whatever, your average heroin dealer.
Yeah, all they did was prop these people up and let them run rampant, which they made money. I think that they just benefited from them, but like giving China like the upper hand, they would never do that on purpose. It's just they fucked it up so bad with so much insider politics.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think like based on what was on like Hunter Biden's laptop and all that stuff that was going on, and the fact that Milley literally was making phone calls to the Chinese general saying that if anything were to go down, we would let you know.
Yeah, I mean,
right off the bat.
I don't.
And then like so many American large multinational Wall Street companies benefit so much from like the laissez-faire, pretty much slave labor policies of China.
I don't disagree with those things, but I just don't ever see us handing China a win based on like, our economies are too tied together, but also the like political thing of being like, okay, well, China, you did a great job, so we're gonna let you have all that money. Americans don't have
they're not
Americans' money for shit.
They're not gonna say that. They're gonna just, have an absolute debacle as to what just happened. And oh man, we messed up. Sorry, but by the way, man, China's kind of kicking our ass right now. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
Oh, I mean, to each their own, but it seems a little sketchy. It just seems very sketchy.
I'm not disagreeing that it doesn't seem sketchy. I just don't buy. I just literally believe that from Bush to Obama to Trump to Biden, with all their like inside shit and people that necessarily, you would think that we would have our shit together more than we do. It's the Occam's razor thing, man. It's like we want to believe that there's a bigger, crazier narrative out there, and sometimes we just live in a world of fucking dumb people.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to, is like people want to make things up.
The majority of people are absolutely retarded, but the people that are writing policy at the UN, the people that are like going to the Bilderberg meetings, the people that are at the G7 summits, the people that are like doing all this stuff behind the scenes, these are like geniuses. These are people with 200 plus IQs writing this stuff out.
I believe that, but I also, like I said,
so I mean, there's also that perspective as well,
I would just say gross mismanagement, and to be honest, man, in like 10 years we're gonna have a clear picture of what that is. But ultimately, I think that it was their only goal was to make people money. When Dick Cheney put that policy and Donald Rumsfeld put those policies in place, we didn't go after Saudi Arabia. Those dudes were all Saudi Arabian. None of them were from Afghanistan. And when we first went over there, the Taliban straight up was like, hey, if you could just not do that, we'll give you Osama bin Laden. But they thought it was more profitable to go in and fucking destroy the whole country.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's fucked up.
It's totally. But that's the thing, is I hope with.
But it's also like led to this complete erosion in our media and trust for media and trust for government and everything. And I think that like we have this history of being blatantly lied to by politicians and by news outlets who cover for them, that now you have a pandemic and you have a virus and nobody wants to get this fucking shot myself included, because we don't believe the people pushing it.
Yeah, I got the shot. I had no.
That's good for you. I'm proud of you.
Look, man, you're a pedicab driver. My ex-wife is an award-winning Daisy nurse who's like been an ICU nurse for 10 fucking years, who's surrounded by death, who has PTSD for that shit. I know Doctors Without Borders. I know like 20 doctors. I know probably 30 nurses, and they're all vaccinated because they're sick of fucking people dying around them all the time. So as much as that point of view, y'all can have it. But when you're surrounded by people,
but I also know a lot
dying,
of nurses and doctors that don't want to get that shot either. I know a guy who supervises doctors. There's a guy at my gym who supervises doctors in one of the hospitals. He didn't tell me which one, but
he's fucking stupid.
I mean, he supervises doctors. You can't be that stupid if you're supervising doctors and you don't want to get the shot.
If you're around those, dude, you don't see the fucking shit that I have to see when I talk to her every week. When she comes in and she's just frazzled because
of COVID.
Because all these people keep fucking dying.
Yeah, but
you
there's
don't
also
understand
a lot,
2 years
I
of
was also hearing stories of sorry I'm interrupting. I was hearing stories of like you got people doing the fucking crate challenge that get hospitalized with doing the crate challenge. Or you got these like homeless people with like hepatitis and all types of shit going in the hospital. They get COVID and it's like, oh yeah, you got a COVID hospitalization, but you went to the hospital for something else.
These are, I'm telling you, I hear the stories that I have been told by her about people FaceTiming their loved ones and her holding people's hands when they fucking die, man. And I'm not being facetious at all. And my ex-wife has fucking PTSD from this shit.
So are they allowed to actually hold your hand now that you're...
Because she's in
they
full
used to not
gear.
Be allowed to.
No, they weren't allowed in the room, but since they've had breakthroughs in like what's allowed on protocol, they've been in the room. Like she told me about one story about giving a guy his son's teddy bear. Dude, I'm telling you, you talk to her and your fucking opinion will change real quick on that shit.
Give me your info, I'll put her on.
And she
give me her Bobby. Give me her info.
She won't do it.
All right, then
she's not a public person. That's just who she is.
But I mean, if you want to educate and tell people about what's going on and really like get that message out, she has an open invitation to come talk to me whenever she wants.
She will. I probably know a nurse that would.
Okay, let me know. I'm happy to talk to anybody about anything, and be open-minded to listening, even though I have like my thoughts and beliefs on some things.
I've met a whole bunch. Like at this point. All I'm saying is I look at it like this. If you choose to not get vaccinated, that's totally on you. That's your choice, whatever. I don't care. If you want to go play that game, go ahead and play it. I don't give a shit. All I'm saying is with her and the things that I know from the doctors and nurses in my life, which there are a lot, they're 100% on board because they're just tired of people dying.
So you think I'm basically retarded for not wanting to get the shot?
I think that you're taking your life in your own hands.
Okay. Let me ask another question.
What?
Do you think I should be excluded from certain societal activities because of my medical decision making?
No.
Okay. I'm glad we're on the same page with that.
No, because if you get sick and die, that's on you.
All right.
Like, that's not on me.
Fair, and I'm willing to take that calculated.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's like, I don't have health insurance right now. I'm taking that calculated risk because I can't afford it. You know, our system is fucking broken.
Have you tried the marketplace? Like
now that I got some things taken care of financially, I'm about to get health insurance again, which I'm working on it. It's just coronavirus fucked my life up, man. I went from making good money and having things moving forward to going on unemployment and wrecking my whole life.
Did coronavirus fuck your life up, or did lockdowns fuck your life up?
Lockdowns fucked my life up.
So how are you still okay with? I don't really know how you vote, but I'm assuming, based on the fact that you said you have like progressive ideals and stuff, how are you okay with still voting for politicians that impose these policies on you that have fucked your life up?
I don't think we knew what to expect. That's the problem.
But I mean, at this point, we had an idea in the summer, and you had people like Gavin Newsom that were doubling, tripling down on this policy that was really decimating a lot of people like you and me. Like if I lived in California, bro, I would have been like super radicalized if I had to, you know.
Anything. The way I look at it is, we learned in a way that it was experiential learning. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what to do. We thought closing down for 2 weeks was going to flatten a curve. Like, we didn't know what the fuck it was, dude. It was weird.
Sure.
There was that whole 2-week process. Remember when everybody was at home? We're like, sleepovers, we're getting drunk, like, all the time. At least that's what we did.
Yeah.
And then things change, and you saw, like, markets change, and you saw how people were working and everything else. I think, and I say this from my point of view, and I don't mean this for everyone, but I ultimately think the lockdowns were a good thing because I think it transformed the supply chain and how we work, and I think it pushed a lot of shit forward. Like, I think there's going to be more work for at least certain industries we're going to have more work because we changed. You can work from home. Oh, we don't need this guy in the office anymore because we don't have office space anymore. We can hire 3 extra people to do these jobs now.
Okay.
So it's a completely different
ballgame.
It's a different ballgame for that. Going through it suck balls.
Right, and potentially, because I'm very much against these lockdowns, right? Like, and you know why, right?
Yeah.
You understand completely.
I get it.
And I'm sure a lot of the people that you work with in the service industry you're probably the minority at this point in terms of like some of the.
Well, I mean, I don't work in the service industry.
I think. Well, you do the comedy stuff for the bartenders and a lot of people that you know that work downtown.
Yeah.
I'm sure the majority of the people that still work downtown that you're friends with that like have the same types of jobs that I have.
Yeah.
Probably think more like me than they do like you about this.
At this point, I think no one should have a lockdown. If you're taking it in your own hands, you're on your own.
All right, bet. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, it's. Okay. I don't think at the time we were figuring out what to do. And then now that we're past that and we realize, oh shit, you gotta have economies moving, you gotta have people working, people want to eat cheeseburgers. Now that said, I think it's fucking ridiculous that people put the blame on those people, bartenders, servers, waitstaff, kitchen, all service industry people, that we can still have this conversation as you're essential when we put you there, but we're not gonna pay you like you're essential. Like the fact that like in the middle of when there aren't people out there willing to get out and hustle and ride the bike and shit, you deserve to be paid what you're worth. And
well, I'm happy with how I was treated when all that stuff was going down. So
well, good.
I'm happy about it.
Because for me,
I actually at the time of my life pedicabbing during the virus.
Yeah.
At the time of my life, I loved it. It was fun as fuck. I mean, I wore a mask.
Yeah.
You know, people loved the mask I wore.
Mm-hmm. Your Captain America mask.
Everyone was like wanted to support and help.
They probably tipped you really well.
Yeah, everyone was great. They were super. They were awesome.
I just don't like the idea that when people, like, all of a sudden they're like, because of the pandemic, we can't find workers. Yeah, because you treated them like shit for decades, man. And so a lot of those people went and got different jobs. So when you gave them, oh, well, you can go here, they made a whole bunch of fucking classes and programs free, and you gave people unemployment to go learn how to do new things. I know people that are working in computers now.
Yeah, a lot of that. I also think too with the work from home stuff, this could potentially have a really positive effect on small towns.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's already proven. There's towns across the country that'll pay you $20,000 to move there.
Really?
Yeah, there's huge boom in that because now people aren't tethered to here. That's when I like.
Which towns are those? This is interesting stuff.
There's like in all through Mississippi, Alabama, like right on the coasts and stuff. Yeah.
What? Bro, this is.
There's a lot of there.
What about in Texas?
I don't think in Texas because
Texas is already pretty boom.
Because we're having a boom. Like me personally, I don't understand why Austin keeps booming when all the things keep not moving out, but people are leaving and coming at this really like kind of same rate in the sense of what 2 people are leaving and 2 people are coming. So we're kind of staying status quo, but like San Francisco emptied out because they don't have to work. They don't have to live in the city anymore. They can do their jobs from wherever.
Well, also the crime and the lockdowns and all that stuff that happened probably made people want to bounce also.
Well, I mean, but San Francisco.
And it was expensive as hell too, and you don't have to be there. Yeah, like if you could just work from home now, you can go to a small town.
I work from home. So like for me, when I do my work, like I get Airbnbs. I've traveled around the state of Texas. I'll find a little cool town on a lake or something, and I'll get an Airbnb for $40 a night because all these like people out on land set these little, sheds up that you can stay with air conditioning and a TV and Wi-Fi, and I go and work for 3-4 days, and then I come home and watch my kids.
That's awesome. Yeah, I take like trips like Llano and Blanco and all those towns just to fish and stuff. It's great. If my girlfriend was down, I would just move there.
I wouldn't move. I couldn't live there, but I like visiting there.
No, I think at this point in time, with how things are going with these health mandates and what they're continuing to lead to, I think that the only thing that can protect you from stuff like that is being in a smaller town.
Sure, I mean it's less people.
Yeah, I think that if you actually get a real virus. I'm not, obviously COVID's real, but I mean like a virus with like a 10% death rate or like a 20% or like a virus as contagious as COVID with a higher death rate. It's probably safer to be in a smaller town.
Yeah, because you're away from people.
You're away from people, exactly.
It's less people around. I mean, I like small towns. I like visiting them. I can't live in them.
I think I'd be okay. I think growing when you're younger, I would be a little weird, but I think me being in my 30s, You go there, you mind your business, you go to the coffee shop, you work.
Yeah, but if they don't have a coffee shop,
They
though,
have coffee. I mean, you don't go. You make sure they have some stuff, right? Like
that's the trade-off. Because once you start thinking like that, though, it's like, well, I mean, live in a small town. Like, what constitutes a small town? Because in certain small towns, everything closes by 8:00. Then, when everything closes by 8:00, do you want that? Do you want to drive 30 minutes to get to the nearest grocery store? All that kind of shit.
Well, that's
it's
fine.
like,
It's okay.
see, I'm not. I grew up in Chicago. I've lived in a city my whole life. And every time I take, like, I was at my mom's house. She lives in the suburbs now.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this. Like, I need to be able to go to the grocery store 24 hours a day. If I want to get something to eat, I know that I can hit, Tyson's Tacos on Airport Road at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, as
Tyson's
a human.
tacos are pretty good, though. I used to do, like, improv at Cold Town, so.
Yeah.
Their tacos are pretty delicious, man. They're pretty good.
I need things accessible to me all the time.
Let's talk about Gavin Newsom again. Let's go back to that.
You were obsessed with this.
Well, no, I just want to ask you, like, do you trust the results? I'm not saying, like, do you trust, like, whether or not, like, the recall failed, but do you trust the numbers?
Yeah. Dude, it's...
Even with that KTLA news report about how, like, Republican voters were being told that they already voted and all that stuff, like...
like, those systems... for all that, dude, is they're gonna do the thing like, we don't trust the results, we're gonna do a recall, and then they're gonna do another recall, just like they're gonna do it again, and it's gonna be the same thing because California is so fucking blue, dude.
But 25% of people that signed that petition were Democrats.
Yeah, and they probably did that, and then they probably were like, let's look at this. You can sign a petition, and then once you walk into the box, you can be like, do I really want to do this?
Is this really what I want to? Yeah, that's true. There's also the fact that I'm like only like 60%. I think Tim Pool posted this. And he said that only like 60% of Republicans actually even voted in the recall election.
That's the thing.
There's a lot. There's a lot of problems with this Republican politics stuff. Because do I think that there are like voting shenanigans? Yeah, and I think it's a lot easier to pull this off than people make it out. Because especially like nationally, all it takes is like find a few county clerks, in a few big cities and a few swing states that hate a certain particular person. Like, it's not impossible to like largely manipulate this stuff. You've had presidents in the past that have like talked about the dangers of widespread mail-in voting that were Democrats that have changed their script. You've had, college professors go on and talk about how easy it is to hack an election through the computerized voting systems. Like,
but they did that shit. They in the national election they put it through the rigmarole of doing it. Look, I'm no stooge to say that you can't hack shit, but I also worked in technology and actually worked for cybersecurity companies for a while, so I know like what that whole inside thing looks like, and it's literally just a fucking talking point. Like, if you look at how the system at this point works, is Republicans don't have a platform anymore. It's just hating shit.
No, I don't think so. Well, I think that like Democrats don't have a platform either. It's just lockdowns and viruses and mandates and stuff.
Democrats, the problem with each of them is they suffer from two different things. The Democrats lost the working class because they don't know how to talk to the working class anymore because they think that everyone is beneath them.
Bro, today's Republican... Sorry, okay. Keep going. I'll tell you afterwards.
And then the Republicans is an entire party based on hate and shit. That's it. There is really no mandate of, like, what are we doing? Because you can't say small government anymore because that's bullshit. Like, we know that here in Texas wholeheartedly that's bullshit. It ain't small government. And... when you start mandating abortion laws and shit like that.
Oh, that law's retarded. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
And
we're going to talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up.
There's all this different stuff. It's not about the party of economics and all this other things anymore. It's literally like, I don't like that, and we're trying to preserve this sense of values that necessarily do or don't exist at this point. And, and like I said, leftists, and there's a lot of good points, but they're also have this obsession with doubling down on shit that doesn't matter. Like, put your fucking concentration on getting Joe Manchin to shut the fuck up about coal and push the infrastructure bill forward.
Whoa, hold on. In that infrastructure bill also gives the Biden administration and the IRS the ability to have unlimited access to your bank account if it has over $600 in it for tax purposes. Like,
that's never going to pass. Like,
it's in that bill. What do you mean? Like, it's part of it.
It's not. So that's going to go under. Like, you know how politics works, dude. It's like two lawyers.
So let's talk about that provision. That's a pretty bad provision, man. Like,
I agree with it. I agree with you in the sense that I agree with that's fucking ridiculous. It's the idea that we're taking. We want more transparency into how people are moving money, especially those who make over $300,000. That's the idea behind that. Now, when you put that into play with most common sense things, is that an extraordinarily, like, shoot for the moon thing? I guarantee you they put that in there.
That is how you create a police state.
Sure,
that
it's
is literally
never
going
to pass.
Yeah, well, it's never. You know how it's really never going to pass if Manchin just doesn't approve it. Then it never passes because it doesn't get put through. And also $3.5 trillion. You bought any Bitcoin?
No.
You probably should have bought some Bitcoin if that bill passes.
I don't fucking care about that, dude.
You don't care about like the currency being totally debased and like
there is no base. There is no base of currency now. That's the deficit. The budget's all bullshit. It's fucking. It's that thing in. You let Wall Street run the fucking country and they move money. We celebrate scumbags, dude.
Yeah,
we want to
so that
fund things.
Wouldn't it make sense? Maybe not now. It's a little high right now. But when the price crashes again, just as you're as someone who's my friend right now, it might make some sense to just start accumulating some Bitcoin once the price gets a little bit lower.
Yeah, I don't fucking care. I just don't care. I'll just be out there in the streets with the fucking bow and arrow and my blood of my enemies on my face, fighting for the truth of the world.
Hey, we might look. We're headed in that direction, so
we probably are. I mean, I did a piece the other day where I would take this time as I say it's like the '60s on fucking steroids, because the '60s was a lot of huge radical change for this country, and then we had 2-3 decades of essential lull, and then now all the same shit essentially. Obviously not a pandemic, but social issues and government seeing through politicians, all this shit. I mean, we went through in that era, we went through a bunch of assassinations and crazy shit. We're in the history books right now is going to be the second chapter of those radical changes for how this country moves.
How do you think it's going to move?
At this point, I'm just like I said, I hope that people see what it is and they vote accordingly and they use their power accordingly. I want people to. I believe in a world that could be giving, verdant, and push people forward, the working class, people who want to make this place better. If we can find ways for all of us who do that to stick together and make our voices heard, ultimately that's what I would always like to champion.
I fully agree with you, and I think that a financial system based on sound money is a good start.
Yeah, I mean, we don't live on the gold standard anymore. It's just money.
No, we don't. But we have Bitcoin now, and Bitcoin actually is going to be ultimately more scarce and more valuable than gold going forward.
I'm curious because who was it? It wasn't Haiti. What was the country that
Salvador.
Is it El Salvador?
Yeah, El Salvador.
They regulated it as a national recognized currency?
Yeah, I mean, along with the dollar, you don't have to use Bitcoin if you don't want to, but it gives people the option of paying and sending Bitcoin and utilizing Bitcoin through exchanges.
Yeah, I'm not against Bitcoin or any of that shit.
I think we could solve our affordability problems if the city offered a 25% tax discount to people who wanted to pay with Bitcoin. And the city could just hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and then every 4 or 5 years, whenever they do the halving, which is they basically have the number of coins per block that gets mined, the price always goes through the roof every time they do a halving. And if the city just started doing that right now, maybe 6 months to a year from now, and kept those coins till 2025, you could fund a lot of really great things with the surplus without your taxes getting raised.
See, that's way over my head, man. I suck with all that shit. I'm not a money math kind of person.
But I think it's important to understand that. All right, before we wrap up, we got to talk about corporate journalism. How do you feel about it? How do you feel? Because I remember I had a little argument. I had an argument with this dude from KUT, and you commented on it. We were talking about the Delta variant, and I'm just like, this virus doesn't end until you relinquish all your freedoms, and then I just said all this stuff, and you're like, well, you want to talk about corporate media? Come bring me back on the podcast. So let's. The
problem with corporate media at this point is it sucks, because as a working journalist, you kind of there's things in my career that I've always wanted. There's always these blue chip. When you're a working writer, you want these you want to be in Time. You want the Atlantic. You want the New Yorker. You want these bylines because it establishes you. It shows credibility of your work.
Yeah.
And you want those. And now there's things that you just see that you're like, this is fucking ridiculous, man. You're like, how much pandering bullshit are you guys gonna do? And I mean, I see it, and I see people pushing stuff that's ridiculous, and on both sides. I think at this point, CNN and Fox News are just fucking. It's like two ridiculous like Fox News, CNN, NBC, MSNBC, any of that shit. I don't want to fucking turn into it. The only time I watch it,
my
is if
girlfriend still watches it. I get furious with her. I'm like, turn that fucking garbage off. Like, they don't even believe what they preach. They're making their employees get the shot in order to even work there.
The only time I ever turn on CNN is to watch W. Camus Bell's United Shades of America, which I was on, and Bourdain. That's it. And outside of that, I don't turn that shit on. It's toxic. It's bad for America. All that shit is bad for America. Like, do I still have faith in NPR? I do have faith in NPR. I do have faith in, like, do I have faith in the Washington Post anymore? No. Because Bezos owns it, and it's very obvious that, like, they suck the teat, and fine. But, like, I still love the New Yorker, and it's hard because my entire career has been built on wanting to have those bylines to be like, I made it to this blue chip, the highest of the high mountain that you can get to, and a lot of them are losing credibility for me because I see the shit that they're pushing on both sides, like stuff that is swung right, and I'm like, fuck you guys, and then stuff that is swung ridiculously left, and I'm like, your job as a journalist is to tell the fucking truth, and to be as nonpartisan as possible, to call bullshit, and to fucking stay rooted in that. Are there places that still do that? Yes. I believe there are a lot of, like, really good journalists out there, you know?
You know who's good as Crystal and Sagar?
Yeah, they're great.
Rising Crystal's pretty good. Kyle Kalinske used to be really good, but lately he's just kind of become a bit of a hack.
The who's the other
Secular,
dude?
you know.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, I love them. They're the exact people I think of.
And
when
Crystal and Kyle and friends are like, them together are pretty good. I gotta listen to them more, but I like them.
I like what's his face. Who's the dude that's on Rogan all the time too? Not Tim Kennedy. I can't think of his fucking name. But there's a dude that he has on all the time that he's on YouTube and gets like millions of subs, and that guy's great too. And he calls bullshit.
There was Dave Smith. There was an episode of Dave Smith that was really good.
Yeah, like I said, there's people that have common sense and can have conversations about
Glenn
it.
Greenwald.
Yeah,
Glenn Greenwald is good. Even though they're trying to like, but they try to make it seem like Glenn Greenwald just went full blown Republican, which is wild because if you disagree with this narrative, now they just polarize you to one side.
That's the thing that I hate, because I come from the school of, you can put this on the record for life, as I come from the school of Howard Zinn and Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky will forever be my North Star. That is where my politics lie.
Yeah, you can't really argue with that. It's just. My thing is maybe I got a little jaded from this virus because it shows a lot of true colors, and like you may agree with like a certain ideology, but you just start realizing how difficult it is to implement these ideologies.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
You need to ultimately stop attacking people and have conversations.
Yeah, which is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I'm not saying you
in general. I think it's as a generality. Dude, last thing before we wrap up this AOC thing, you want to know what else really is like absolutely ridiculous about this?
What?
It's the fact that the Met Ball is a charity event.
Mm-hmm.
So when she's wearing this Tax the Rich shirt, all of these rich people are going to write this $35,000 ticket off as a tax expense, and they're not even going to pay any taxes on this because it's a write-off to a charity.
Yep. It's total horseshit.
It's nonsense. And you know what else is fucked up? Is that there are a lot of ideas that we should do. Like, we shouldn't have like mountains of student debt at this point.
No.
You know what I mean? We should have legal weed. We shouldn't be spending more money on nation building than we spend on education. You know, we should be better stewards of the environment. We shouldn't be giving all these subsidies to big oil companies and whatnot, right? I mean, you still need oil and gas, and maybe, you know, we should allow us to be a little more independent with how we produce energy, like at this moment, until we figure out like the next solution. But like a lot of these ideas, like I agree with a lot of these ideas. The problem is that like when people like AOC are saying shit like that, and then your actions are doing the opposite, or like Elizabeth Warren is like, you know, basically shilling for central banks with the whole Robinhood stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know, it undermines what they're trying to do, and it's going to turn us into a extremely right-wing nation.
Yeah, I'm not here for that.
But do you know what I mean? Like, you understand what I'm saying, though, right?
No, I totally get it. It's no matter which way you cut it, dude. Republicans still have the majority of the average American point of view, and the idea that like they love fucking Jesus, guns, and easy.
But I'll tell you this, though. I kind of do like how the Republican Party has changed a little since the pandemic. Because aside from this abortion garbage thing, which I'm sad we didn't talk about that. But aside from that, they've been the group that has like kind of stood up for like, you know, freedoms and liberties as a result of the pandemic. They've been the ones that have been like speaking out for small business owners. Like they've been the ones that were doing that. They're the ones that want to make it so that we can like actually mine and have like crypto infrastructure in the United States. If you were paying attention to the infrastructure bill earlier, like they've been doing stuff that I'm like, you know what, like I agree with that. Like this lady from Wyoming, Cynthia Lummis, she's a senator. She's all about like us starting to adopt Bitcoin and mine Bitcoin in the U.S. and have like DeFi platforms in America and making that a big thing so we can move forward and have innovation. Like that's awesome. Like there is like stuff that they're doing that's actually good. It's not like the Republican Party is not like the Bushes anymore. Like they have changed, and I do like that change. And a lot of what they've been saying has been like a little similar to what people who voted for Sanders in 2016 were saying. Like there's a lot of similarities.
If you want to have a common sense point of view on things, I'm always here to listen. That's where I live at this current point. You can be a Republican if you have a good idea. It's a good fucking idea.
Yeah.
Like we can get behind that. Nobody has to be like, that's such... There's shit that Republicans do that I think is retarded, and then there's stuff that Republicans do that I'm like, that makes sense. Why are we mad about this?
Yeah, like guns. Like we should... Yeah, like I support them on guns and stuff.
I'm not a gun guy, so... You know.
I know we talked about that earlier, but I support them on that, and I support them on the masks, and I think that they're 100% correct on how they've been, on opposing like vaccine passports and stuff like that. So it's like they're doing the right thing on that issue.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if it's a common sense thing, like I think having an adult conversation is where we need to start, and if you can have that and prove forward, that's what we need to work on here forth. Anyhow, Charlie's wrapping it up.
All right, we're wrapping up. Hey, Rob, how do we get a hold of you?
You can find me on Instagram at literally Robert Dean. You can find me on Facebook. I think it's Robert Dean's World or some shit like that. Those are the two best ways to get a hold of me. Everything else, you can look for. Those are the places you can see my newest writing. What I'm working on now, I don't even know what I got coming out now. I got a whole file of shit. I think I have something coming out for NPR soon.
Awesome. Excited. Hey, Robert Dean, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. All right.